All right, so in this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how to get a street vendor's license in the state of California. All right, so let's jump right into it. So this is actually going to be a video. I got a question. This is a great question, and this is the first one that I've ever received about a food vendor, a street food vendor, and what's the requirement in the state of California in regards to licensing permits, and how do you get it, and how do you get up and running with it, okay? So the one thing is that working as a street vendor requires a license, okay? So you have to have one for selling food, and then you got to have a license for the mobile food unit as well. Okay, so a food vending business is kind of it's a mobile, obviously it's a mobile type of business, which is great. It can give you a huge opportunity when you're able to move your business from one busy location to the next. But there is a few tricky little things in regards to the requirements in the state of California, which differ from a lot of more metropolitan areas, like in downtown cities such in Chicago, if you're in New York or in Miami, that these types of places have different requirements, and they're very limited as far as the amount of licenses they will issue for street food vendors, okay? Because they have to cap it somewhere. They can't have 10,000 street vendors within a mile radius of each other. That's obviously doesn't make any sense. So it is kind of limited, and California offers that same type of limitation, but the requirements are a little bit different. So basically, you got to choose, what type of food vendor license do you want to apply for, okay? Because there's different requirements for a fixed location vendor or what's known as a transient vendor, and you should decide whether you want to have a fixed location or whether you want to be able to move around in the state of California itself if you're going to go to various events and that sort of thing. So you basically want to contact your city hall and see whether the area that you're basically looking to get into, is it even zoned for food vending? Because a lot of times zoning has a huge issue and a big impact on where you can set up a portable food street vending business. So you want to make sure that it's zoned, okay? You'll have to have like a zoning permit. You'd have to get a permit from the health department itself, actually known as the public health. And your county also has to have a business license from the city and the county that you're working in, okay? So there's basically three parts to it, and those would be, depending upon the city and county, you really want to check with them because it'll vary. The state of California has the ability to set up laws in regards to street vendors, but when it comes down to the county and the city, they can also create their own ordinances, their own laws, their own types of licensing or permits that they are going to request. So it can be a little tricky. So you want to find out specifically where you are and where do you want to be with your vending, okay? And obviously, you want to pick a place that's, as long as it's allowed and it's suitable, you want to pick a place that's very busy, more of a tourist kind of area. If you're in an area that gets a lot of foot traffic, these are things you want to think about. You obviously want to be in an area where you don't have to advertise or market your vending food business that much because you want to rely on the foot traffic. So somewhere where it's very busy is going to be the best thing for you to be. So now, when it comes to taxes, so the next step you want to do is you want to check out what's known as the California Department of Taxation. The California Franchise Tax Board is the name of it. And you want to print out, there's an application form. You want to check that out online, okay? Then you want to send that completed application and up to the department. With potentially, they're going to ask for other documentations, and that's kind of normal. That's a normal procedure. Any other documents that may be required, they may request from that of you, okay? So you want to also get your business license. So within the city that you're going to do the business itself, that's where you want to hit the office, your city officials, either the website or potentially the city planning, zoning and planning, and you want to get yourself your business license so you can have a legal business within there. Now, with that being said, I also want to mention you may want to look into, and I highly recommend you get this, and this may potentially be a requirement in California as well, and that's going to be the food vendor's insurance, sorry about that, is the food vendor's insurance. You want to make sure that you have the right insurance coverage for the type of food business that you're doing, and you want to protect yourself, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, there's another type of permit, and this is actually known as the Food Vendor Commissary Authorization Form. You can actually get that the Public Health Department of California, request one from them, and then you want to submit that, okay, to the environment. It's known as the Environmental Health Services, And that's where you want to get that approval. You want to get the thumbs up from them to receive the public health permit. And of course, once you get the permit itself, you got to make sure that's visible on your food stand or wherever you're producing your food products, so your customers and consumers know. But those are some of the basic steps to get started. Now, of course, the cost, I'm not going to jump into this particular video about the cost of the actual food vendor's cart. If you're going to get a food cart, if you're looking to get a push cart or a trailer or something to that effect, food trucks are totally different in regards to the costs compared to a food cart. You could be looking at either several hundred to maybe just a couple grand for a really high-end or really, really nice food cart that's got everything as far as the equipment, refrigeration, warming tables or serving buns, those types of places, those types of things that come with the cart. So you want to just be very careful about how much you want to invest in it as well, and you want to look at how much your budget is, okay? And that's going to dictate the type of cart as well as the type of features you're going to have on that cart. And then what type of food are you making? You're doing simple hot dogs in a hot dog cart, that's one thing. If you're getting into cooking hamburgers or making chicken or doing meats and stuff of that sort, then you're going to be looking into other grills. You're going to be looking into something like a range. You got to have a cooking range. You got to have a lot of other stuff to that. So that's a totally different podcast, totally different video. But to get started, those would be the basic things. Double check where you are within the county and city, and make sure you get yourself a business license as well as the ones I just spoke of. So I hope that answers your question, and thank you very much. That is one of the best questions I've got in a long time, and I haven't covered that type of food business yet. But I'll definitely do a handful more videos about street vending, because that's pretty lucrative. That's a very big within the metropolitan areas like New York, and then some areas of certain downtown city places, you can do a tremendous business with that type of business. So thank you very much, and I will see you guys on the next podcast.